Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
And today we are going to be talking about a classic Western game, Red Dead Redemption.
Oh yeah. So description here is America 1911. The Wild West is dying. When federal agents threaten his family, former outlaw John Marston is forced to pick up his guns again and hunt down the gang of criminals he once called friends. Experience an epic fight for survival across the sprawling expanses of the American West and Mexico as John Marston struggles to bury his bloodstained past one man at a time.
Awesome. So, a little background on this game is it was developed by Rockstar San Diego, who are known for uh, Red Dead Revolver, Red Dead Redemption 2, and Grand Theft Auto 5. So, a lot of the key Rockstar games, but I guess as is notable, there's actually 8 other Rockstar subsidiaries. So like Rockstar San Diego, but then there's I think one of them was like Rockstar London and like a couple other cities. So, but this is the one that focuses on these games. So kind of
Do
cool.
you, are those subsidiaries still around? Do you know? Because I feel like a lot of times they consolidate or close or something like that.
I think a lot of them are still. It might be that there's 8 active now, and maybe there was less or more before. Or maybe there was 8 and there's still more of them than just this one, at least.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, kind of interesting. I don't know how that. I feel like it would be kind of crazy to potentially be making a game with another team that's like across the world or across the country or something. That'd be kind of wild.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
yeah, I guess from here, our main characters. So you in this game, you end up meeting a lot of people, but just hitting up the main characters who are like I'd say most important to the story. You've got John Marston. He's of course our playable character. He's a former outlaw who has kind of gotten out of the game and wants to just live an honest life, and that's kind of his aim. Then we've got Edgar Ross, who's a government agent who forced John into this mission, who basically was like, "You were bad once. To make up for that, and so we won't hurt your family, you need to go and solve your old gang friends and hunt them down for us." So Edgar Ross is a jerk.
Yep.
Then got Bill Williamson, who used to be in a gang with John. He's kind of the impetus. He's what kind of starts this game. Is John heads out west to find Bill. And then last up, we've got Dutch Vanderlyn, who's the leader of John's former gang. So these are kind of your kind of key players through the game. Again, there's a lot of other people you meet along the way
Yeah.
in all the towns. I would think maybe every town ends up having I don't know 4 to 8 people you meet, if not more, who can have some relevance to the story. But I would say that these ones are your really main thrust.
Yeah. That's fair for sure.
Yeah. So before we actually get into the recap, since there are so many side characters, we thought it would be fun to talk about a little bit. So we asked the question on Twitter: who's your favorite side character in this game? Who's yours, Jordan?
I liked Nigel Dickens, or yeah, I forget his middle name, but he he's my favorite because he to me is kind of like the epitome of Wild West. So basically, he's just a guy who like roams around in a carriage, I guess, and just sells like the magical cure for everything. And he's just basically steals people's money and like hustles them.
Yep.
He kind of reminds me of like a traveling salesman who just can sell you the cure for like I don't know hangovers or cancer or things like that, but it's probably just like water and some leaves or something.
Uh huh.
But so he's funny.
Yeah, he's definitely funny. Total snake oil salesman who's just like
Oh
grifting people all the time.
yeah, snake oil. That was the term I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it's super
Yeah,
funny. He's like, "What ails you, my boy?" Well, good.
yeah,
Nigel Westick and Special Tonic is what you need, no matter what it is. It's super funny.
yeah, yeah. Just so unreal, or like it's just not going to do anything, but people are dumb enough to fall for it.
Right, yeah. Totally get bought in. Yeah, he was funny. My favorite was a guy named Landon Ricketts. He's like a former outlaw turned, I don't know, Robin Hood type character of sorts that you meet later on. So he's like a good gunslinger and stuff like that. And reminded me a lot of like Sam Elliott from Roadhouse.
Oh, nice.
He's Patrick Swayze's friend in that movie, if you remember that.
Yeah.
But he reminds me a lot of him. And so I'm like, cool. I love Sam Elliott. This is perfect. So
Yeah, Sam Elliott's awesome. Was he wasn't voiced by him, was he?
no, I don't think so. I don't think there was
Okay.
anyone famous voiced in here. I don't think, but or like actors, big actors or whatever. But he would be perfect for it though. Like if you were gonna cast him, that's what you should do.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, awesome. On Twitter, we've got Skirps, who is in the same boat as me. They say Landon Ricketts. I feel like a spin-off prequel about him could have had enormous potential. I'd be down.
Yeah. Especially if they got Sam Elliott to play him. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Vale on Twitter says, I just can't get past Bonnie's. Landon Ricketts was pretty cool and interesting too.
Yeah.
Is Bonnie John's wife?
No.
I forget what's her name.
Bonnie McFarlane. She's who rescues you.
Oh, yeah, the ranch
Yeah.
lady. Yeah, gotcha. I forget a lot of characters' names.
No, yeah. You're good. Nikki on Twitter said, I would die for Bonnie McFarland. I love her. So, yeah, I thought Bonnie was
More
pretty...
Bonnie.
Yeah, she was great.
Yeah. Shrey on Twitter says Bonnie and Louisa. So, more Bonnie love.
Controller Disconnected on Twitter said Nigel, mainly because I got to use the Gatling gun from his carriage. That was super cool.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. Old Tommy West Gatling guns are the best. Magi on Twitter says, I don't remember his name, but I liked the guy that was in Blackwater that kept doing cocaine for science.
Yeah, that guy was a trip. I agree. He was nuts.
What's his name? Do you remember?
I don't remember right now. I forget. Professor something, I think. He was like a professor out east and then got disgraced for something, and so then he got forced to live out here, basically.
And just do cocaine.
Yeah, and then he is like, oh, yeah, cocaine makes me do the best science.
All right.
You're like,
Totally, dude.
Sure. Yeah.
Whatever you say.
Right. Totally ridiculous. Perfect. Okay. So, just that gives hopefully a little context for the characters. So from here, we'll just jump into our recap. So, the game begins, and John Marston is forced onto a train by some men in suits. Edgar Ross and friends are making John get on this train. John does that. He gets off at his stop, and a guide is there waiting for him who takes him to Fort Mercer because that's where Bill Williamson was last seen. That's who John is looking for. John gets there, and he confronts Bill from outside, and is like, hey, I need to talk to you. Like, I've got to take you in. And Bill and the other gang members are dismissive of John, and John's kind of like, well, you're not going to like me when I'm mad, kind of attitude.
Yeah.
And Bill just shoots him and leaves him for dead. So...
Great start.
Yeah, it was like, okay, this is working out well for our hero. Leaves him for dead. So from here, while John's laying dead, the outlaws just go back to hanging out in their fort and don't mind him anymore. And two strangers end up rescuing John. They grab him, they throw him in their wagon, and they take him away. And John wakes up, and he finds out that Bonnie McFarland is who saved him, and that she has also paid the doctor our medical bills, and so she's kind of giving us some shit, like, what kind of idiot would go to Fort Mercer and call out people? Like, you just got shot and I had to save your ass. So she's kind of razzing you a bit.
Yeah, which is fair. I mean, I feel like he didn't really think that plan through very well.
No, not at all. It seemed like he must have thought it would have been easier, and it would have just worked out instead of, you know, what the game ends up being is him actually having to enact a plan. But yeah,
Yeah.
take one, not so good.
Yep. Bandits 1, John Marston 0.
Yes. So from here, Bonnie takes you around the farm, and I would say that this really acts as your like real tutorial in the game, and you learn some basic gameplay stuff. You learn how to shoot. You learn how to ride a horse. You learn how to. I think you herd some cows at this point, so you kind of get a little bit of learn how to play the game while doing chores for Bonnie McFarland because it sets up that you feel pretty indebted to her, that she saved your life, that she did these things, and so you're like, well, I don't want to be like, some jerk who's just taking advantage of your kindness. I'll like help you out, kind of thing.
Yeah, and this kind of ends up being like your home base ish
Yeah, that too.
thing, like the ranch.
Yep, yeah, good point. This ends up being home base. This is your like first free save point. That's something that's kind of, I don't know if unique in this game, but is a part of this game, is that your save points are like houses you have rented around the map. And so you can't just like save anywhere at any time. You have to be at one of these places. And so you get a free one since she gave you a room. And then I think there might be one other free one in the game, but then the rest of them, or maybe two, but for the most part, you have to pay for them along the way to get a save point. So it's nice having a free one and being like, okay, this is kind of my base.
It's actually a pretty cool mechanic. I'm sure it's, it'd be annoying at various points, but like, I don't know, I don't know why, but it kind of reminds me of even the Wild West.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you go exploring, you get far enough out, you kind of stake your claim in some land, and then you move on. So it kind of seems like a good mechanic for this kind of game.
Yeah, no, that's true. That seems fair. And I guess that like it wouldn't be safe to post up necessarily at like random, I don't know, places you're going through or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So from here, while you're talking with Bonnie, John reveals that his wife and son are actually held hostage by federal agents, and that they basically coerced him into doing this outlaw business. And we're like, hey, we've got your family. If you want your family to stay whole, you're going to do our work, basically. And so John's like, fine, I guess I'll do what you want then. But like, once I do it, like, fuck off and let me live my life.
Yeah, which is pretty shitty way to go about being a federal marshal or federal agent. It seems like the opposite of what you should be doing.
Yeah, 100%. So, not great. Here, you end up learning, after this, a little bit more mechanics in the game. So you learn how to break wild horses, and you herd cattle. So you learn these, and these are, again, kind of like, not side quest, but I guess side activities that you can do during the game if you wish, to like build up more money and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then lastly, the like last big thing that you do with Bonnie in kind of this first intro section of the game is you end up riding with her by carriage to Armadillo, which is the nearby town, to kind of figure out what goes on there and meet with the sheriff to find out more about Bill Williamson is kind of your aim. So you do that. That's good. And from here in Armadillo, this is where you kind of get your, I would say this would be maybe the first big section of stuff you do in the story. So the first thing you end up doing is you join the marshal to hunt down some outlaws. And this is big. You build like trust with him. You also get introduced to the bounty system in the game. So there's various bounties you can take, and if you bring someone back dead or alive, you get varying amounts of money. I think most of the time, I think maybe always, alive was worth more money than dead, but dead was easier, so I did that most of the
Yeah,
time.
for sure. That's probably how it actually was back then.
Yeah, that's what I would think. It seems like it would be too much of a hassle to like try to throw a live person onto your horse, like if you're a bounty hunter like this. I don't know.
Hmm.
So you do that though, and that gives you some, I guess, rapport and positivity with the marshal. After this, you end up meeting Nigel Dickens, who's escaping from bandits. He tried to grift them, and they didn't like that. So you help him out, and he's kind of injured too, also in this. But you make the escape and get to Armadillo and save him. You again end up joining the marshal on another mission. You're fighting bandits who took over a farmhouse. This was pretty brutal. They messed the family up quite a bit. So they were nice to hunt down, for sure. So doing those things, then I would say things get bigger because Bonnie ends up getting kidnapped by bandits. And they demand a prisoner exchange. There's a prisoner that's held in the jail, and they say, if you give us this prisoner, we'll give you Bonnie. So we go along with them, and they're getting ready to hang Bonnie if we don't.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. And the bandits try to double cross you, and they start shooting, so then you hunt them down and end up killing all the bandits. You end up freeing Bonnie, like you shoot the rope on her neck off, above her, which was pretty crazy. But she's doing oddly well, considering the circumstances. She's like, well, thanks for saving me, kind of thing. And you're like, wow, you're handling this a lot better than I would.
Yeah, you're crazy. Mm-hmm. But now the debts were paid.
Right. Yeah. So from here, you end up doing a lot of side quest for Nigel Dickens, Seth, who is this creepy gravedigger guy.
Are these like mandatory side quests? Or are they more just like make some money, explore the world, whatever?
They're mandatory.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Irish, who's a drunk Irish guy. And
Yeah. Makes sense.
yeah, and so what you basically have happen in these quests are, one, you learn Deadeye, which is essentially like a slow motion kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that. You also gather money and supplies to be able to sneak into Fort Mercer. And so that's why you get kind of stuck on these quests, is like, oh, Nigel S. Dickens has a wagon. Irish knows how to get a Gatling gun. Like, different shit. Different shit like that.
Yeah.
And all of them prove annoying because that's kind of who they all are. Like, they're all about their own self-interest, and they're like, well, I need a little bit of this to be able to pull this off. So, like, you have to, do a carriage race with Nigel S. Dickens to get some money. Or you have to, go rob someone with Irish of their Gatling gun and sneak into a mine and take it from them. Or, different stuff like that. So, you have a variety of, I would say, reasonably fun but semi-annoying side quests, because you're like, just give me what I want, kind of thing.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
But it does pay off. The crew finally gets it all together, and you get to assault Fort Mercer. What happens is Nigel S. Dickens shows up with his carriage and says, I want to bring things in to show you guys. I've got stuff to sell. I think you'd really like it. And the outlaws are like, okay, cool. And they open their gates. And so Nigel backs the cart in with his carriage that way. And everyone's gathering around to see stuff. And when he pulls it down, you're back there with your Gatling gun, and you just wreck them. And
yeah, murder everyone.
Yeah, get to shoot 50 people.
Yeah, awesome.
It's super fun. Using the Gatling gun is really, really fun too. Just you're spraying it everywhere, and all the bad guys are going down. Super fun. you go through, you've killed all of them, and you're like, okay, I think we did it. We got Bill. But there's one outlaw who's dying, and he tells you that Bill actually went to Mexico yesterday. That he went there with Javier Escuela, who was another guy who is in John's gang, old gang, and that they actually just left, so unfortunately you missed them. And so John is understandably pissed and is like, well, shit, now I gotta go to Mexico to find this. Like, I had to kill my way to get here, and it wasn't the right thing, so I guess I gotta go somewhere else.
Yeah, which would be annoying. Very, very annoying.
Right.
Especially in the Old West. Like, I mean, it would probably take days to travel to Mexico.
Right. And you'd think has spent like weeks probably setting this plan up even. And
Yeah.
just to have it like not work out and you're like, shit, I still gotta do this because it's like the government agents aren't gonna be like, well, they're in Mexico, that's fine, I guess you can have your family back. Like they're not gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Or you tried really hard, good job.
Right, exactly. So you head into Mexico, and Irish has a raft he gets for you guys to be able to do that. You get to Mexico, and then part ways. Irish leaves and is like, "Okay, good luck. See ya."
Yeah.
So as you're exploring Mexico, you meet Landon Ricketts, who teaches you more Deadeye, and so now you're like even better at your slow motion shooting. Now you're at a spot where you could like see four people and it could slow down, and then you could like mark them all and just like blast four people at once, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, basically invincible.
Yeah. It's super cool. After this too, you kind of team up with Landon Ricketts to help out down there, and he's helping protect oppressed people. So what you've got kind of going on in Mexico right now is that the military is kind of taking force and like oppressing the peasants and the poor and different people like that, and taking advantage of them, killing them, stuff like that. And Landon Ricketts is like, nope, I'm fighting for justice, kind of that Robin Hood-esque I described earlier. So you team up with him to do that and kill some soldiers and help out some people.
I forget. Are they Mexican soldiers or are they U.S. soldiers that are in Mexico?
Mexican.
Okay, cool. I thought so, but I know during this time too it was kind of kind of iffy the borders.
Yeah. So once you're in Mexico, I think that everyone you interact with besides Landon Ricketts are Mexicans actually. So it's like all Mexico from here pretty much.
Gotcha.
Until you go back to America, but so you do that, then you end up kind of playing the other side. You assist Captain DeSanta with fighting rebels. You end up protecting a train from rebels on it. I think that you get to use the Gatling gun on that too from the train, which was fun. So, in John's quest to find out about Billy Williamson, he's basically ends up in a spot where he's like, hey, do you know where Billy Williamson is? And they're like, yeah, I do, but let's do this thing, and then I'll probably tell you more. And
Classic video game.
yeah, classic video game. So you end up kind of feeling like, not that John's gullible, but he gets a little taken advantage of, I feel like, as a hired gun at times.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like some of it is just he's probably in a kind of a rush because his family's, in potential danger. Like if he doesn't get this done. So part of him is, in the past maybe he'd just shoot someone, be like, all right, tell me or I'm going to kill you. But now he's trying to not do that, obviously.
Right. Yeah, no, that's true. Then you meet a woman named Luisa who asks you to rescue Abraham Reyes. He's a revolutionary who she loves and wants to marry, and is like, the soldiers, they've captured him and it's bad, you should help him. And so you're like, all right, fine. And you do. A little later on, you meet Colonel Allende, who sends you on a mission. And so he's actually the head of the Mexican forces in this area of the military, and is like, hey, I've been really impressed by you. I can get you to Bill Williamson. Like, I've got one more mission for you, and then I've got, like, I can get you there kind of thing. So you go on this, and it's a trap. DeSanta knocks you out, and they're getting ready to execute you. But you were rescued by Abraham Reyes. Him and his rebels show up, they kill the soldiers and save you, which was cool.
Why did they trick you at this point? I don't remember like their goal here.
Yeah, they trick you because they found out you were playing both sides of the fence, and so they found out you were like fighting soldiers and fighting for the soldiers, and so I think they were like, well, you've like done enough. We're just gonna get rid of you.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Unfortunately for them, though, they made the wrong enemy. So
Yep.
so you join the rebels fight at this point. You end up hunting down Captain DeSanta. At this point, you have an option to kill him yourself or let the rebels kill him. I let the rebels kill him because I was like, this is your beef. Like, not that I'm afraid to kill him, but just you've earned this almost kind of thing. Like,
Yep.
he doesn't mean anything.
You've earned this kill.
Yeah, he doesn't mean anything to me, like, aside from that he double-crossed me, so I don't like him and would kill him, but, like, this matters more for you. So, then you take part stealing part of a train with the rebels that has, like, supplies on it. That was pretty fun. Ultimately, then, you end up finding Javier Escuela and killing him, which was big. Finally making some progress on your mission. And you end up going to the border and taking Javier Escuela there to Edgar Ross and the other agents at the border and load his dead body in. And they're like, well, that's something, but that's not Bill Williamson. So, like, do your job right. So they just keep being dicks.
Yep. Yep.
So you head back into Mexico and you attack a army stronghold with the rebels. This section is pretty fun because it's like total chaos. Like a bunch of rebels fighting, a bunch of soldiers fighting, and you're just like going through fighting everyone. So that was really fun, like taking down all these soldiers. Ultimately, what happens is Colonel Linde and Bill Williamson are actually together, and they escape in a carriage. So you're pursuing them after like fighting your way through the stronghold. You ultimately catch up to them by like shooting all the guys who are on the carriage with them and like shooting their horses so it stops. They stop and they get out, and Colonel Linde is like, don't kill me, you can just have Bill. And
what a piece of shit.
Yeah, and you and Abraham Reyes are like, nah, fuck this, and you just kill them both.
Yep. Good.
Which is great. You then leave Mexico finally. You have accomplished your mission, you feel. So, heading back to the agents. I got Bill Williamson. Let's get this shit over with. And you get there, and you let Edgar Ross know, hey, I've got Bill. I did it. Let me see my family. I'm out of here. And they say, well, too bad, John. The deal's actually not over. Now you need to go get your old boss, Dutch Vanderlyn. He's apparently causing commotion now, and that's part of the deal now. And John's pissed. And they're like, well, if you don't want to do this, we can just kill your family. Your choice. And so John's like, fucking fine.
Yeah, they suck.
Yeah.
Really shitty.
Yeah, they're terrible. So from here, you end up going with the agents in a car, which was kind of funny. You drive out to a steamboat where one of their informants are there, and who's inside Dutch's gang now, and said, "Hey, Dutch will be here." You get there, and the informant's been beat up, and it's a trap that Dutch has set for you, and you end up fighting your way out with one of the agents. It's not a great scene. You like barely get away out of there, and then you're in the car, and the car breaks, and you have to defend the car. It's like a big mess.
If the crazy thing, I feel like one of these in this situation, if the agents know where he is, they should just send in the military and kill him. I don't know why they need you specifically, Probably because they don't want to get their hands dirty, but
right. It seems like they're really we're really infatuated with this idea that like if we kill Dutch, he's a hero, but if you kill him, then you're the hero, not him, kind of thing. And it's like, it seems stupid to me, and especially in a situation like that, like, just bring a lot of agents and, like, just say John killed him. That's fine.
Yeah, and just make sure no one's alive that knows any different.
Yeah, it just seems like there's a lot of ways that would make a lot more sense than how these agents operate. So,
Yeah.
yeah, they're stupid.
Then it wouldn't be a game.
Right. Yeah, it's necessary for the game and is fun in the game, but is, I don't know, bad logic for the character, I'd say.
Yep.
So after this, you end up going and finding Dutch's hideout. You get led through like the forest and different areas by the informant. He recovers, and you head out that way, and you find Dutch's hideout. But then you get hurt. You're like looking through binoculars out, and Dutch sees you and actually just like shoots you from like really far away. And you wake up, and you're being helped by Professor McDougal. That's the guy who does cocaine. That's his name.
Coke guy.
Yeah, Coke guy. He's helping you because he's an amateur doctor, sort of. I don't know.
Amateur might be a strong word because, I mean, dude's doing cocaine. Like, he's probably a guy that has some mild experience with doctoring.
Yeah, that's
just funny.
Yeah, that's my guess. Not who I would want to be helping me in that situation.
Yeah.
But you wake up, you're being helped by him, so you're like, okay, I know we've found Dutch, but his hideout's pretty strong, and also he knows I know where it is now, kind of thing. Then after this, while you're like trying to prepare a plan with the agents as to what to do, Dutch's gang actually robs the bank in Blackwater, which is super bold.
Yeah.
And while you like fight through the bank to try to stop him, you nearly capture him. You end up in this situation where he's got like a hostage, like a bank teller, with him, and you're like standing near him. But then you let him like move towards the door, essentially, and then he shoots the bank teller and like throws her at you and runs out the door. So super frustrating to have Dutch so close and then to be able to escape, and also killing an innocent person in process too. Big mess.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you get close to catching Dutch like 4 different times. We also get shot so many different times too.
Right.
So
right.
like it's sometimes Dutch wins, sometimes, well, I guess Dutch wins every time because you don't catch him, but
right,
it's crazy.
Yeah, no, it really is. He's definitely a tough adversary.
He's evil too. So
Yeah.
do you think that do you think that the worst characters, like the most evil, are actually the agents, or do you think it's the like Dutch and the gangs?
I think I'd lean the agents personally.
Yeah.
I think that.
Yeah, me too. Which is crazy.
Yeah, I think the outlaws are obviously bad, but I think the agents are worse.
Yep. Yeah, it seems like the outlaws, they would probably not kill you unless you got in their way, but the agents are just going out of their way to fuck you up. Or will.
Right. I feel like especially just with how they've treated John, like John's trying to make a real life, and they like coerce him into doing stuff. Like it sucks. Even if they would have said something like, hey, you're gonna have to go to prison or do this, I feel like that would even be more palatable. But
because that seems like a real thing, as opposed to, hey, we're gonna murder your family in cold blood if you don't do this.
Right, exactly. It's like by the murder in family, that's not really a choice. Versus, if it was, hey, we'll forgive your crimes or you can go to jail now. Well, that seems pretty fair. Like, John could say, no, I'm going to go to jail then. Like, that's fine. I deserve that or something. But instead, or like, no, yeah, I'll kill your guys. Like, I got you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I don't like that. And just really how they treat him throughout all of it. They're just like shitty to him always at like every opportunity. And it's like, he's like fighting for your side, even though you like coerced him into doing it. Like he's still sort of on your side.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Mm-hmm.
He is now, at least.
Right. Yeah. So, meh. So from here, you end up helping Professor McDougal escape from Dutch to go back east. And so this is you like running on the rooftops inside Blackwater, which is kind of wild. And then also just again Dutch being pretty bold. He's just assaulting like the most civilized town multiple times in a short span, like which I guess does increase that he really needs taken down. Like if he's willing to be, he's not just like stealing horses from farms or whatever. He's like going into the main town and trying to kill people.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's like a next level
Mm-hmm.
like menace. It's like terrorism, basically.
Yeah, totally. So from here, you and the agents organize and you lead an assault on Dutch's hideout. And I would say that this is pretty similar in some senses to the attack on the army stronghold. So you've got a bunch of agents with you who are talking with you. They're, I don't know, a big firefight's coming up. You're going to be killing a lot of people. A lot of people are going to be trying to kill you kind of thing. And you fight your way through Dutch's hideout. You ultimately end up cornering Dutch on a ledge and, have your gun on him. And you're like, Dutch, it's the end of the line. Like, there's nowhere to go. You should surrender. I don't want to kill you. Like, I'm not, we were friends once kind of thing. And Dutch is like, nah, sorry, John, you can't take me. And just jumps off the ledge, killing himself.
Just crazy.
Yeah, which is nuts. So then you come down, and Agent Ross is like, you're a pussy, you should have killed your friend, kind of thing. Like, he's a total dick.
Still a douchebag, yeah.
Still a douchebag, and he's like, I knew you couldn't, you was always soft, kind of attitude. And so then he takes your gun from you, and then shoots Dutch a couple times, and he's like, it'll look better in the papers, kind of thing. And
oh my
you're
God.
just like, yeah, you're just like, you're just such a fucking dick, man. Like, I hate him.
Yeah, he sucks.
So from there, and you're like, okay, so I got Dutch. We good? And they're like, yeah, we're good, I guess, kind of thing. So, I'll say this and you'll understand why, but I feel like this is where the game should have actually ended, personally. And I don't know, we'll talk more about it later, but I just want that noted for the timeline. So from here, though, you head back home to your wife Abigail, your son Jack, who's I don't know, maybe like 16. He's like a teenager. And then a guy named Uncle, who's not really your uncle, but he's an old man who is with the family and long-term family friend.
Yeah, just an old guy.
Yeah. So once you're back home, you end up doing a bunch of chores. So you like go hunting, you do cattle driving, you kill a grizzly bear. A lot of like little side missions. And yeah, whatever. You do those for a while. Ultimately, after doing your chores, your life is settling in. I don't know. You're thinking, okay, cool. I'm going to have the quiet life I finally wanted. But the government breaks its promise. And a whole bunch of soldiers show up to attack John Marston's house. It starts, they like roll up and they start shooting at you on your house. John, Jack, and Uncle are on the porch firing back at them. Uncle ends up getting killed on the porch, and John, Jack, and Abigail make their way to the barn, kind of like shooting their way there, and they make it inside the barn. And John sends Jack and Abigail away on a horse. He puts them on a horse and like hits the back of the horse and is like, go, don't look back, don't come back. I'll find you, but don't come back here. It's dangerous, kind of thing. And so the family escapes. And John goes out the front doors of the barn to have his last stand. There's, 20 guys out there. John rolls out with his guns, starts shooting, and is shot down, shot up, John is gone. Gets killed.
Yeah.
And then we get an epilogue. The game isn't over. We're back at Marston Farm, and it's an adult version of Jack Marston there. You see John's gravestone and his mom's gravestone. And Jack is going around the map. He goes to a couple locations to search for Agent Ross, and ultimately finds out where he is, which is fishing on the Mexico side of the border. He gets there and he finds him. He confronts Agent Ross and says, "I'm Jack Marsden. Do you remember my dad?" And Agent Ross is like, "Oh yeah, that guy was a dickhead. We killed him," kind of thing. And Jack is like, "Wrong answer," basically, and just shoots him into the water and rides off. Game over.
Yeah.
So, okay. With the ending in mind, why I don't like it, specifically, is I felt like doing all the chores was a giant pain in the ass. I really didn't like going back to John's farm and like trying to make a life, so to speak, and then to be confronted and killed, kind of thing. Like, I didn't like it at all. There wasn't like drama. Instead, I just felt like really bored and sort of annoyed that I had to do the chores for a while. Like, it might have been like 8 chapters of the game or something. Like, it was like a substantial amount of time. Like, a couple of hours. Just doing a bunch of menial tasks that aren't that fun. I mean, killing the grizzly bear was fun, but like, cattle driving and hunting and shit like that is like moderately fun. So you kind of had to do a bunch of like junk to then ultimately get shot up by the cops, which sucked and is like is fine as like a good tragic ending. Like, I'm not against that at all. But just as like I felt like the build up there was like kind of lame.
Yeah. So it sounds like what you're saying is you like the tragic, like it looks like maybe he was going back to his normal life, but then he got double crossed. But you don't like how it was played out, or how long it took, or how involved you had to be.
Yeah, I think if this was a cutscene,
Yeah.
I would have been a lot better with that.
Gotcha. Yeah, that was what I was thinking. Is like it seems like the goal was really good, like a surprise twist. Probably didn't see it coming, but to play for a couple hours to do menial tasks just to get there, I think you're probably right. I probably lost the drama and became just 8 chores within one chore.
Right. No, yeah. Like, I wasn't going to, obviously, because I'm playing a game, but, like, there was part of me that was like, should I just stop now? Like, you know, like, it didn't seem that great. And, it, like, yeah, I don't know. I feel like a 2-minute cutscene maybe would have been better. Like, John goes home, you see him hug his wife, you see him working in the field in his farm, you see him, like, just do some things. And then it's, like, the bad guys show up. And maybe you have to play that section even, but, like, I feel like you could have just summed it up and it would have been way better. But also, I felt like what I would have done if I were making this game, and where I think it should have ended, is so if John, Dutch is dead, and Agent Ross says, "Give me your gun," and he shoots Dutch a few times, he's like, "That's going to look better," and you're like, okay, and then he just blasts you in the head and the game ends. That would have been fucking insane. Like,
Yep.
like you would have been so mad. You would have been like, "What the fuck, man? Like, I did all this stuff and you just killed me anyway." Like, I feel like if John was gonna get killed, I feel like that would have been just so shocking because it would have been so out of nowhere. And instead, you get like do a bunch of boring shit for a while, and then they say, "Oh, guess what? We actually don't believe this and we're gonna hunt you down and kill you." Like, I feel like that was a little bit of a kind of bummer way for it to go.
That's fair.
Yeah, I do like that adult Jack Marsden though gets his vengeance on Ross. That was nice to kill him.
Yeah, I wonder if they could have dragged that out a little bit more.
Yeah, that part was pretty fast. It was like you did have to go see a couple people, but it wasn't. I don't know. You were able to wrap it up in a half hour or something, maybe. Which,
Yeah, I wonder if they could have taken some of the time from the chores and put it towards that, if it would have been more impactful.
yeah, that would have been cool. I could have got down with that for sure. So yeah, that's the game, and a little bit on the ending. I guess we can move to general thoughts. What do you got?
Um, I so I played this a while ago, but the I think let's see, it came out probably when I was in high school. But yeah, like I remember the story is really good, and that the atmosphere itself is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was one of the bigger games I had played, like in high school, like sandbox games.
Yeah.
And I remember just really getting into like the like just it you really get sucked into like the Wild West feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like breaking horses. I like the save system, like the guns, combat. It like is very much probably one of the best Wild West games I've ever played. I haven't played that many to be fair, but
Mm-hmm.
like this has to be, if there's a category of Wild West games, this is probably top three. You know, it'd be pretty hard to not put it in there.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. And I think in a similar vein, it was really fun being an Old West gunslinger. It did feel like that a lot of the time, and it really met those desires of what you'd want in a game with being an Old West gunslinger. You know,
Hmm.
getting to just shoot random bandits, super fun. I really liked that. Like, I felt like it really met those kind of things of like I want to. I don't know if you played this way, but like I played more like a good John Marston, so my honor was really high and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's generally how I play. At least on the first playthrough, and then on the second one, yeah,
Kill everyone.
go back through and play as evil as
Uh
possible.
huh.
That's always fun.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I think even thinking about like the Deadeye system, it kind of made you feel like a really good gunslinger
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, you still had to be kind of good at combat outside of those times, but you could just shoot down like six people
Right.
real quick, and it made you feel like, all right, I'm a freaking badass, which is pretty nicely done
Yeah.
without it being, I think, over the top.
Yeah. I feel like it didn't feel too over the top. Like there were parts that could feel that way, but you're playing a game, so you kind of know that. But
Yeah.
it never felt too unreasonable where it was like I don't know, you're just yeah, I don't know, being obnoxious.
Hmm. Yeah, I agree that I think yeah, they really encapsulated the Wild West gunslinger. You can be like a good version of that, a bad version, an anti-hero, a hero. I think pretty well got that.
Yeah, totally.
I guess this is related too, but it essentially is. It's kind of like GTA, but Wild West. I know it's the same developer, so that makes sense. But if you like GTA, you'll probably enjoy this game. I think just based on the fact that it's very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think this story I think is better than any GTA game I've played that I can think of right now. Um, this to me seems to be more of a story game versus GTA is also has a story, but it seems like there's a point where you play and you're like, all right, I just want to kill everyone, and you just kind of go crazy.
Right.
This game feels more like a it's not an RPG, but you play as a guy doing some things. So it's in that sense, it's a role playing game without like the
Right.
leveling up system and stuff like that. If that makes sense. Whereas GTA is kind of just like a sandbox. Go do whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that for me at least, for John Marston, I felt more compelled to be good. I when I've played GTA, it's mostly just been dicking around and like trying to kill people, but I'm not sure I would feel as compelled to be good because it seems like your characters are all more bad than John Marston is. And so with John Marston, I did feel a little bit more compelled to try to be a good guy.
Yeah, and there's also the with like the honor system in this game.
Mm,
You don't really have that in GTA. I mean, the cops can get called on you, but that's you just evade them or die, and you're fine.
right.
There's no like long term consequences of being bad.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's good. On a different note, I felt like this was a pretty good game, but there were times where it felt like it was 10 years old, which is fair because it is. And I was playing it on my PS3, so again, it makes sense that it would feel old. But there were some times that felt that way, and I do think maybe as a person playing it now, I wonder if I'm missing out on some of, like, if I would have played it then, I would have felt some of that stuff a little differently because, you know, it would have been new then or whatever. So there's a little bit of that, but on the opposite end, I'm super excited to play Red Dead 2 now, because this was super fun to play, and I'm like, if I could play that without some of the, like, the limitations of the old game, like, I don't know if they'd solve this for Red Dead 2, but something that was pretty annoying in this game was if your, like, horse got killed while you were out somewhere far away, you just had to walk back, and that shit took forever. Like, or like sometimes the colors of things were not the best, so I'd be like, "What is that?" And it might be someone shooting at me, but I couldn't quite see them. Like,
It looks like a purple blob.
yeah, in the brush or something like that. So there were, like, things that were that way occasionally, but I know that, like, it's more of a comment being that it's 2020 as opposed to, like, a criticism, because, like, again, it came out 10 years ago. Like, I don't expect it to look like a game that came out in 2020 or something. Like, it's not that. It's just that, like, I could feel it sometimes.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That was something I was thinking about too. Is like I think I played this back in either late high school or early college. Um, but yeah, the graphics are definitely kind of dated now. But I think it's kind of funny when I played it back then. It's like these graphics are amazing. So it also just kind of speaks to the how like advanced things have gotten. Like I don't know if you've looked at the PlayStation 5. There's some teaser thing about like what it can do, um, like some gameplay demo, and it looks amazing.
Really?
But I feel like I thought about that when I saw like PS3 and Xbox 360 coming out. I was like, oh, these games look amazing.
Right.
But now I'm thinking the same thing going forward. But I wonder in 10 years if I'll look back and be like, that's all right. But yeah, it's just weird how dated things get in the technology video game field.
Yeah, that's true. It's weird that it could feel, yeah, because even further back, I remember, like, playing, like, Mario Kart and thinking no game will ever look this cool or something like that on N64. And it still does look pretty good, but it's like, it looks like crap compared to, you know, some of the best looking games now or something. Like, so it's just kind of crazy, like, just how that develops and really changes stuff. But
Yeah, but I think I agree. There's some like it's dated for sure. The story's still really good, but yeah, I think some of the gameplay elements have been improved
yeah,
upon in newer games.
yeah, I agree. I think that's what makes me so excited for Red Dead 2, because I feel like this really scratched that itch of, like, cool, Wild West stuff. It's super fun. And I know Red Dead 2 will just do it better. You know, it'll do it as much and probably better in some ways and look even better. Like, I feel like that'll be really fun to cover on the podcast at some point.
Oh yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. My last comment is I really like that you could skip a mission if you failed it more than 3 times in a row. That was super great. I really, really like that. In either, like, I maybe had 1 or 2 missions where it was actually too hard and I failed it enough, but most of them were to get around missions I didn't like. So, like, at the end of the game when it was doing various chores, I don't like hunting or breaking horses or cattle driving. Like, I didn't find any of those things fun, so I would just fail them on purpose as fast as I could to skip them. So it was like, okay,
You cheater.
yeah, I just didn't want to do it. At that point, I was pretty fed up, though. So, like, I didn't do that throughout the whole game. Like, I would try to pass the missions, and if I couldn't get through them, I would be fine skipping them. But at the end, though, oh yeah, it was like I'd just start shooting the cows, so I'd fail it, and then like shit like
Oh my God.
shit like that. I was like, I don't want to fucking do this. Like, I was super over it at that moment. But I really, really like this, though, as a concept for games anyway. is if you fail it more than 3 times, they'll ask you, do you want to skip? And, you don't get any trophies or medals or whatever the fuck. And, just keep playing the game. The story continues.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that, just as an option. Because, I don't think that every game should include it or whatever. But I do think that it should probably be in more games. Like, if your game is for an average person, like, if that's your goal, so not like Dark Souls or something, but like your normal, whatever. Red Dead 2, Spider-Man, Last of Us, that sort of stuff. Like, I feel like this is a good option because I can't imagine that it's that hard in programming to just let someone skip something and not punish them for, and then just say you don't get trophies or whatever. I think that's fine. I can't imagine that there's anyone who does or would want to skip anything that's also a trophy hunter. So,
probably not.
Yeah, I would assume not. That would be a tortured individual if they exist. If they're not that great at games, but also want to complete everything, I feel sorry for them.
So how would this work on like the main missions? Like you're about to kill Dutch, but you fail the mission 3 times. Like, does it just skip to the scene where you've cornered him on a cliff?
I think that's what it would do.
Okay.
Yeah, the main one, I think that the only mission I had it happen on that was like a real one was there was one where you did the races with Nigel Dickens.
Yeah, I hated races.
Yeah, so I realized after doing it, and I failed. Actually, the other one I failed was breaking horses with Bonnie. And on that one, I was able to skip. And so then when I was doing the races, I tried it the first time to see if I could do it. And then I couldn't. And then I was like, wait a minute. I can just fail this 3 times and I'll get to skip it. So then I just started shooting the other racers so I'd fail it immediately.
Nice.
So I just found ways to skip shit I didn't want to do after I tried to do it and couldn't. Like, it was like, I don't want to grind for 40 minutes to do a race I don't want to do anyway. Like,
yeah,
so
that's fair.
I really liked being able to skip those. I didn't skip anything in like any main missions where you're like doing combat or anything like that. It didn't apply there. I never had to do that, but if I ended up dying, I just did it again and it was fine. But like, yeah, just for the sort of annoying stuff, it was really nice to be able to skip.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if it'd be perfect everywhere, but I would like that option. Like, I don't know. When it happened, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is great! Thank you, GTA or Red Dead Redemption. Like, this is great."
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have anything else, or do you want to move to listener feedback?
Yep, I'm down to move forward for sure.
Sweet. Okay. First up, we've got Nikki on Twitter who says GTA, but in the Wild West. Grand Theft Horse, so to say. This was the thought I had when I went to the game, and I was not disappointed. It's a great game, great characters, and a great story. I was excited when Red Dead 2 was announced because I loved the first one so much. Yeah, so I think same vein as you is GTA in the Wild West.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm definitely excited to play Red Dead 2. I've heard, just nothing but good things about it.
Same, yeah. Just having heard so many good things about it, and like I like this world a lot. I thought it was fun. I thought how it looked like, I thought that like being in the Wild West was cool. They made pretty interesting side characters along the way, all that stuff. Like, to get to do that in a 10 years later updated version, that sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I heard it's fucking giant. I heard that like if you were gonna do like every single thing, you could spend like Witcher hours on it, kind of thing. Like it seems like 150 hours kind of deal. Like it seems like you can.
That's awesome.
Really go into it if you want, which is cool. Like that was something actually as a side point that was really good in this game. Is you didn't have to do everything if you didn't want to. Your side missions were just that. So some side missions I went on and I was like, this is stupid, I'm not doing it. And I skipped it. And then other ones I was like, this is cool, I'll do this. Like there was a side mission where there was like a girl who was like in the desert and was like, "Oh, I don't need water. Like, God will provide," or something like that. And it was kind of like, "Shut up! Come into town and drink some water, you idiot!" Like, and she
Yeah.
was like, "No, just bring me this flower or something like that." I'm like, "Fuck that! I don't want to do this. Like, I don't care about this side mission."
Yeah, you're gonna
Yeah,
die.
you could just die in the sun. That's fine. But then when there's someone who was like, "This person's like robbed me or something," I'm like, "Cool, I got you. Like, I'll solve that."
I'll kill him.
Right. Yeah. My gun will handle that.
Yeah, fair. Let's see. Next up, we got Skirps on Twitter. Said, honestly, one of the best games I've ever played. The unique concept, outstanding story, and characters are memorable. Made me spend a decade craving for Red Dead Redemption 2. So another person who's really excited about the new game. I'm sure that Skirps has already played it.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine they've gotten to play and enjoy Red Dead 2 quite a bit.
Yeah, it's been out for what, like a year, 8 months?
Um, I can't remember if it was 2018 or 2019.
I feel like 2019. Oh
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I don't remember, to be honest. Just since when it came out, I was like, I haven't played the first one yet, so I'm not gonna grab it, even though it's a prequel. But I was just like, I don't want to. I'm a big fan of release timelines as opposed to canon timelines, just because
Sure.
I feel like it's better to play things in the order they're released if you can help it.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why they released it in that order.
Right, right.
So I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, yeah. Last up, we've got Adam on Twitter, who says Red Dead was a great game. I enjoyed the slower pace compared to GTA. It has so many memorable missions, moments, and especially characters. It is one of the best DLCs ever in Undead Nightmare. Um, do you feel like that would fit too with the slower pace compared to GTA in your experience?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, because you're not driving cars. Um, the world is maybe less populated because it's like the desert and it wasn't as established yet.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good comparison or critique, good critique. It's a little bit slower.
Yeah, no, I feel like that's a good comment. Like, uh, it seems like GTA could be too, like, rush, 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 and this would feel a little more slowed down, which is nice.
Hmm.
Um, I'm also very intrigued by Undead Nightmare. I really want to play that. That's been a thing that I've been excited about since I ever heard about it. Uh, just because it fits two concepts I really like. Wild West, super fun. Zombies, also super fun. You put them in the same
Yeah.
game, oh my gosh, like dreams do come true. So
So is it like does it just change? Can you still play through the story, but it's just everyone's zombies? Like all the bad guys are zombies?
I think I haven't played it yet, so I'm not 100%, but I did talk to a friend who's played it and said it's really good. But I think what happens is it starts off like, I don't know, normal game, essentially, but then zombies show up. And so I think you maybe have different missions, like maybe checkpoints you have to go to or things like that. Um, but then there's just zombies everywhere, and so you have to, like, shoot them in the head. And a friend of mine said apparently that through the game you get horses, and it's the four horses of the apocalypse, so it's like death and pestilence and stuff like that, and your horses have like different abilities or something, so it seems pretty cool, like as
Oh.
a kind of fun crazy ass thing.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting.
Yeah,
I didn't play it either.
yeah, I'm super curious about it. The version of Red Dead I bought was like the Game of the Year version, so it has an Undead Nightmare on it, so I'm definitely going to play it at some point, but I feel like it's a pretty cool idea. Like that, yeah. It definitely marries
Hmm.
two things I'm interested in, so um, I hope that it meets those desires, which I think it will, because the first game, just the original game, is plenty good, so I suspect that the DLC will meet that as well.
Hmm. That'd be crazy if they released Undead Nightmare for Red Dead 2.
that'd be cool.
That'd be real
That'd be
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah.
That'd be cool if they went back to it. I was thinking too. I wonder if they did it because it was like in the era of like Call of Duty Nazi zombies or whatever. Like I wonder if
I think so.
they were just like, hey, let's do our own version of this. This will be fun. And I bet creating it was probably really fun. Like if you're working there and they're like, hey, we want to do this crazy idea, you're probably like, fuck yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah. Super down.
Uh huh. Yeah. Cool. Well, that's Red Dead Redemption for us. So, if you've got anything else you'd like to say about this about this game, you can hit us up. You can talk to us on Twitter at StoryEverPod. You could go to our website, TheGreatestStoryEverPlayed.com, and get the backlog of our episodes, anything else like you'd be interested in there, that's available. If you'd like to support the podcast financially, you can do that on patreon.com/thegreateststoryeverplayed, which will get you access for as little as $1 per month to some episodic episodes that we, or topical episodes.
Episodic episodes.
Episodic episodes.
That's funny.
Oh my god. Topical episodes that we, just talk about a variety of things like we talked about our favorite games from childhood. We talked about our favorite video game characters, stuff like that. So if you're interested in that, that is there. If you'd like to support the podcast just in general, you could do that a couple ways. You could share an episode or something like that. Tell your friends about it. You could rate and review us on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. Any of that stuff would be super helpful. Really just to get more people who love the games we love together more. We really love to see that and would super appreciate that if you'd like to do that. So, I guess all in all, that's it. And we'll see you next time.
Yep, thanks. See ya.